Picture this. You're sipping a flat white at a Bondi cafe, scrolling through your phone when a news alert pops up. RBA hints at a rate cut. Your heart skips a beat. Could this mean lower mortgage repayments? More cash for that gold? Coast holiday? Or maybe a chance to finally get ahead in a world where the cost of living feels like a rogue wave crashing over you. But then the doubt creeps in. What does a rate cut really mean for your money? And are you ready to make it work for you? Here's a stat that'll make you sit up straighter than a meerkat in the outback. 65% of Australians say they're stressed about money, with half of us losing sleep over whether we'll ever afford a home, pay off debt, or retire comfortably. That's not just a number. It's Emma in Melbourne, drowning in HECS debt. It's Liam in Perth, juggling a mortgage and childcare. It's Nguyen in Sydney, wondering if their super will last. And it's probably you too, feeling like the financial system is a game of footy where the rules keep changing. Building wealth. In Australia is like surfing at Bell's Beach. You need to catch the right wave, time it perfectly, and avoid getting dumped. A potential RBA rate cut could be that wave, but only if you know how to ride it. Right now, the RBA's cash rate is sitting at 4.1%, down from 4.35% after a cut in February 2025. Whispers of another cut in May are growing louder, with markets betting on it like punters at the Melbourne Cup. But here's the kicker. A rate cut isn't a golden ticket. It's a chance, one that could save you thousands or cost you if you're not prepared. In the next 60 minutes, we're diving into what an RBA rate cut means for your wallet. Whether you're paying off $1 million Sydney mortgage, investing in ASX shares like BHP, or just trying to save for a Barbie with mates, we'll unpack practical steps to make a rate cut work for you, bust myths like you need to be rich to invest, and share stories of Aussies who've turned financial stress into freedom. Stick around, because we're about to reveal the one mistake most Australians make when rates drop, and how you can avoid it. Ready to take control? Let's dive in like it's a summer day at Bondi. Let's take a moment to ground ourselves in the reality of being an Aussie in 2025. You're standing in the aisle at Coles, staring at a loaf of bread that's somehow crept up to $6. Your phone pings with a notification. Another electricity bill that feels like it's written in gold ink. And if you're in Sydney, you're probably side-eyeing the real estate listings, where the median house price is now $1.2 million, enough to make you choke on your Vegemite toast. This is the Australia we're living in. A place where the cost of living is climbing faster than a koala up a gum tree, and the dream of financial freedom can feel as distant as the Nullarbor Plain. Meet Sarah, a 32-year-old teacher from Brisbane. She's got a heart of gold, a HECS debt that's been lingering like an unwanted house guest, and a mortgage that eats up half her pay. Every month she's juggling bills, childcare costs, and a super balance that's barely keeping up with inflation. Sound familiar? Or maybe you're more like Tom, a 45-year-old tradie from Perth. He's been working overtime to keep up with his credit card debt, $20,000 and counting, racked up from unexpected car repairs and a family holiday that got out of hand. Tom's no slouch. He's grafted hard his whole life. But the rising interest rates from the RBA's 4.1% cash rate have made his repayments feel like a punch in the guts. Now, let's zoom out. The Reserve Bank of Australia, the folks who set that cash rate, have been playing a high-stakes game of economic chess. Back in 2023, they jacked up rates to tame inflation, which was running hotter than a Darwin summer at 3.8%. Those higher rates meant pricier mortgages, tighter budgets, and less cash for the weekly shop at Woolies. But here's the twist. In February 2025, the RBA cut the rate to 4.1%, and the buzz around Martin Place is that another cut could be coming in May. Why? Because inflation's cooling, global markets are wobbling, and the economy's starting to feel like a ute stuck in the mud. A rate cut could mean lower repayments for Sarah's mortgage, a breather for Tom's credit card bills, and maybe even a spark for the ASX 200. which has been chugging along with a 7% average annual return. But let's not sugarcoat it. Life in Australia can feel like running a marathon in thongs. The average Aussie household is carrying $150,000 in debt, not counting mortgages. In Sydney and Melbourne, rent's eating. Up 35% of incomes for young adults like Emma, a 25-year-old barista who's saving for a deposit but feels like she's chasing a mirage. And for retirees like Patricia in Adelaide, the fear is real. Only 40% of Aussies over 50 have a proper emergency fund, and super balances, averaging $180,000 for 60-year-olds, are barely enough for a comfortable retirement. It's no wonder 70% of us are stressed about money, according to recent surveys. The system can feel rigged, like trying to get a park at Bondi on Boxing Day. Here's the thing, though. It's not your fault. The deck's been stacked with skyrocketing property prices, wages that haven't kept up, and a cost of living crisis that's tighter than a pair of footy shorts. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not alone. Sarah, Tom, Emma, and Patricia are right there with you. But here's where the story shifts, like a cool breeze after a scorcher. You can take control, and an RBA rate cut could be the tailwind you need. Think of it like a rip current. It's powerful. But if you know how to navigate it, you can ride it to shore. Let's go back to Sarah, our Brisbane teacher. 2 years ago, she was drowning in financial stress, convinced she'd be working until she was 80. Then she stumbled across a simple strategy, refinancing her mortgage to lock in a lower rate and redirecting the savings into an ETF like the Vanguard Australian Shares Index. With just $200 a month, she's now on track to grow $50,000 in 10 years, all while still affording the occasional flat white. Or take Tom, the Perth tradie. He tackled his credit card debt with a method we'll dive into later. Spoiler, it's called the debt snowball, and now he's debt-free, with a side hustle fixing up old utes that's bringing in extra cash. These aren't millionaires or finance bros. They're regular Aussies who found a way to make the system work for them. This is where the RBA rate cut comes in. Lower rates mean cheaper loans, which could save you thousands on your mortgage or car payments. For investors, it could juice up the ASX, where shares like CommBank and BHP are already paying solid dividends, 4% on average. For small business owners like Aisha, a freelancer in Sydney, a rate cut could mean more customers spending at her graphic design studio. But here's the catch. A rate cut won't magically fix everything. It's like rain in the outback. Welcome, but you still need to know how to store it for the dry days. That's what this video is about, giving you the tools to turn a rate cut into a stepping stone for financial freedom. Before we dive into the how-to, let's ground ourselves in a bit more context. The ASX 200, Australia's stock market benchmark, has been a reliable wealth builder, averaging 7% annual returns over the last decade, even with global wobbles. Superannuation, your retirement nest egg, is another key player. Did you know the average 40-year-old has $150,000 in super, but a comfortable retirement needs closer to $1.5 million? And then there's property, the great Aussie obsession. While Sydney's median house price is $1.2 million, regional spots like Hobart or the Gold Coast are more affordable, with medians around $800,000. A rate cut could make borrowing easier, but it might also push prices higher. So timing's everything. What about the vibe of Australia right now? We're a nation that loves a fair go, a cold one at the pub, and cheering on the Wallabies or the Blues at the MCG. But we're also practical. We want strategies that work, not pie-in-the-sky promises. Whether you're a young gun saving for a deposit, a mid-career pro balancing a family, or a retiree eyeing a caravan trip around Oz, the question is the same. How do you make your money work harder? The RBA rate cut is a chance, but it's not a free kick. It's more like a line out in rugby. You've got to compete for it. So, here's a question for you. What's the one financial worry keeping you up at night? Is it the mortgage? The credit card bill that won't quit? Or maybe it's just not knowing where to start? Drop it in the comments below, because we're about to unpack solutions that'll feel like a cold shower after a day at the beach. Refreshing and game-changing. Stick with me, because up next, we're diving into 3 practical strategies to make a rate cut work for you, including a hack that 90% of Aussies miss. You won't want to miss this. All right, mates, we've set the scene. The RBA's teasing a rate cut. The cost of living's got us all feeling like we're wrestling a croc, and yet there's a wave of opportunity out there if you know how to surf it. Now let's get to the meat of this video. 3 practical, no-nonsense strategies to make a rate cut work for your wallet. Whether you're a young gun like Emma, a mid-career battler like Sarah, or a retiree like Patricia, these steps are designed to help you turn a lower cash rate into a stepping stone for financial freedom. Think of this as your playbook for the grand final of wealth building. Clear, actionable, and built for Aussies. Let's dive in like it's a Saturday arvo at Margaret River. Strategy 1. Refinance and redirect. Make your mortgage work harder. First up, let's talk about the great Aussie dream. Owning a home. With the RBA's cash rate at 4.1% and another cut potentially dropping it to 3.85% by May 2025, mortgage rates are starting to ease. For the average Sydney homeowner with a $1 million loan, a 0.5% rate cut could save you $12,000 a year in repayments. That's not pocket change. That's a family holiday to the Whitsundays or a new barbecue for the backyard. But here's where most Aussies trip up. They pocket the savings and spend it at the Boxing Day sales. Instead, let's be smarter than a quokka in a tourist trap. Meet Liam, a 38-year-old Sparky from Melbourne. He and his wife had a $700,000 mortgage, and when rates dropped last year, their repayments fell by $200 a month. Instead of splashing out on a new telly, they refinanced their loan to a lower rate, down from 4.5% to 3.8%. and kept their repayments the same. That extra $200 a month went straight to paying down the principal, shaving 5 years off their mortgage. But Liam didn't stop there. He redirected another $100 a month into an ETF, the Vanguard Australian Shares Index, or VAS, which tracks the ASX 200 and averages a 7% return. In 10 years, that's projected to grow to $15,000. Enough for a deposit on an investment property in Geelong. Here's how you can do it, step by step. Check your current rate. Log into your bank's app, whether it's CommBank, Westpac, or ING, and see what you're paying. If it's above 4%, you're probably overpaying. Shop around. Use comparison sites like CanStar or Finder to find rates as low as 3.5%. Even a 0.25% drop on a $500,000 loan saves you $1,200 a year. Talk to a broker. They're free, and they'll negotiate with banks like they're haggling at a Fremantle market. Last year, brokers saved Aussies an average of $10,000 on refinanced loans. Keep repayments steady. If your monthly payment drops, don't reduce it. Keep paying the original amount to clear your loan faster. Redirect the savings. Funnel any extra cash into an investment. Apps like Rise let you start with as little as $5, rounding. Up your coffee purchases into an ETF. Quick challenge, pause this video and check your mortgage rate right now. Text your partner or call your bank. What's your number? Drop it in the comments and let's see who's getting a raw deal. Don't worry, we're all mates here. Why does this work? A rate cut lowers borrowing costs, but refinancing locks in those savings long-term. Plus, redirecting even small amounts into investments compounds like a eucalyptus growing in the bush, slow at first, but massive over time. Just don't fall for the trap of lifestyle creep, where you spend the savings on smashed AVO brunches. Stay disciplined, and you'll be laughing all the way to the bank. Strategy 2. Snowball. Your debt. Clear the slate and build momentum. Next, let's tackle the anchor dragging so many Aussies down. Debt. The average Aussie household owes $20,000 in non-mortgage debt, credit cards, car loans, hex, you name it. With a rate cut, loan interest rates drop, which means less of your hard-earned cash is going to the banks. But paying off debt isn't just about numbers. It's about psychology. That's where the debt snowball method comes in, and it's as satisfying as landing a screamer in the AFL. Take Aisha, a 29-year-old freelancer from Sydney. She had $12,000 in credit card debt from her uni days, plus a $5,000 car loan. The interest was killing her, 19% on the card alone. When rates dropped, her credit card interest fell to 17%, saving her a few bucks a month. But instead of stopping there, she used the snowball method to wipe out her debt in 18 months. Here's how it works. List all your A debts. Write down every debt, from your HEX to that afterpay balance for your new sneakers. Include the balance and interest rate. Sort by smallest to largest. Forget interest rates for now. Focus on the smallest balance first. Pay minimums on everything. Keep up with the minimum payments to avoid fees. Throw extra at the smallest debt. Use any savings from a rate cut plus any spare cash to smash that smallest debt. Cut back on one coffee a week. That's $20 a month. Roll it over. Once the smallest debt's gone, take that payment and add it to the next smallest debt. It snowballs, getting bigger and faster. Aisha started with her $2,000 afterpay balance, paying it off in 3 months. That freed up $100 a month, which she rolled into her car loan, clearing it in 6 months. Then she tackled the credit card, paying it off in under a year. Now she's debt-free and investing $300 a month in a micro-investing app, building a nest egg for a deposit on a Bondi unit. Here's a pro tip. If your credit card rate's still high, look for a balance transfer deal. Some banks offer 0% interest for 12 months. Just don't rack up new debt, or you'll be back to square one like forgetting your sunscreen at Surfer's Paradise. And if you're feeling stuck, comment below. What's your biggest debt right now? Let's crowdsource some motivation. This strategy works because it builds momentum. Knocking out small debts gives you wins, which keeps you going. A rate cut helps by lowering interest, but the real power is in your discipline. Think of debt like a kangaroo. It'll knock you flat if you don't tame it. Strategy 3. Supercharge your super. Plant seeds for retirement. Now, let's talk about your superannuation, the unsung hero of Aussie finance. The average 40-year-old has $150,000 in super, but to retire comfortably, think a caravan trip around Oz or a unit on the Gold Coast, you'll need closer to $1.5 million. A rate cut can indirectly boost your super by spurring the ASX 200, where most super funds invest. But you don't have to sit back and hope. You can take control, like a wallaby scrum half calling the shots. Meet Patricia, a 55-year-old nurse from Adelaide. She thought her super was fine, $200,000 ticking along. But when she checked her fund's performance, it was only growing at 4% a year, barely beating inflation at 3.5%. With a rate cut looming, she saw a chance to act. She switched her super to a high-growth option, heavy on ASX shares like BHP and CSL, which average 7% returns. She also made voluntary contributions of $100 a month, tax-deductible, which her employer matched. In 10 years, her super's projected to hit $500,000, enough for a comfy retirement. Here's how you can supercharge your super. Check your fund. Log into your super account, whether it's Australian Super, Host Plus, or Q Super, and see your balance and investment option. If it's balanced or conservative, you might be missing out. Switch to high growth. If you're under 50, consider a high growth option with more shares. Over 20 years, a 7% return doubles your money, while 4% barely keeps up. Add extra contributions. Even $50 a month pre-tax grows to $20,000 in 10 years. Use the ATO's super contribution. Rules to get tax breaks. Consolidate accounts. Got old super accounts from past jobs? Roll them into one to save on fees. Aussies lose $5 billion a year to duplicate fees. Track performance. Use your fund's app to check returns annually, like checking the surf report before hitting Bondi. Quick challenge. Pause and log into your super account. What's your balance and what option are you in? Share it in the comments. Let's get a convo going. If you're not sure where to start, most funds have free advice hotlines. Why does this work? A rate cut often boosts share markets as cheaper borrowing fuels company growth. By aligning your super with that trend and adding contributions, you're planting a seed that'll grow into a mighty eucalyptus. Just don't touch your super early. It's like raiding the biscuit tin before dinner. Strategy. 4. Start a side hustle. Turn your skills into cash. Last but not least, let's talk about creating your own income stream. A rate cut means more cash in consumers' pockets, which is great for small businesses and side hustles. Whether you're a barista, a tradie, or a desk jockey, you've got skills that can make money on the side. In Australia, 1 in 5 people have a side hustle, bringing in an average of $500 a month. That's enough to invest, pay down debt, or fund a weekend at the MCG. Take Tom, our Perth tradie from earlier. After clearing his debt, he started fixing up old utes on weekends, selling them for a $2,000 profit each. He now makes an extra $1,500 a month, which he's investing in an ASX dividend stock like Telstra, paying a 4% yield. Or consider Chloe, a 27-year-old barista in Hobart. She started selling custom latte art tutorials online, charging $10 a pop. With just 10 clients a week, she's banking $500 a month, enough to start a Raiz account. Here's how to start your side hustle. Identify your skills. What are you good at? Fixing cars, graphic design, tutoring, even dog walking, there's a market for it. Test the market. Use platforms like Airtasker, Fiverr, or Gumtree to offer your services. Start small, like $10 for a quick job. Leverage a rate cut. With consumers spending more, pitch your services now. Think lawn mowing in spring or tax prep during EOFY. Scale smart. Reinvest your earnings into tools or ads to grow. Chloe spent $50 on Instagram ads and doubled her clients. Invest the profits. Funnel your side hustle cash into an ETF, super, or debt repayment. Even $100 a month grows to $12,000 in 10 years at 7%. Challenge time. What's one skill you could turn into a side hustle? Maybe you're a gun at baking Anzac biscuits or fixing bikes. Drop your idea in the comments and let's brainstorm together. This strategy works because a rate cut boosts spending, creating demand for services. Plus, a side hustle gives you control, no waiting for a pay rise or a market boom. It's like throwing a boomerang. Put in the effort, and the rewards come back. Wrapping up the strategies. These 4 strategies, refinancing, snowballing debt, supercharging your super, and starting a side hustle, are your toolkit for making a rate cut count. They're not get-rich-quick schemes. They're like building a brick Barbie in the backyard. Solid, practical, and built to last. Whether you're saving for a deposit, paying off a loan, or eyeing retirement, these steps work because they leverage the economic tailwind of a rate cut while building habits. That last. Before we move on, let's do one more interactive bit. Grab a pen or your phone and answer this. Which of these strategies could you start today? Is it checking your mortgage rate, listing your debts, logging into your super, or pitching a side hustle? Comment below with your first step, because action starts with a spark. Up next, we're diving into how to make your wealth last long-term, including a story of an Aussie nurse who retired at 55 with $2 million. You won't believe how she did it. We've just unpacked 3 killer strategies to make an RBA rate cut work for you. Refinancing your mortgage, snowballing your debt, supercharging your super, and kicking off a side hustle. These are like laying the foundations for a beach house on the Gold Coast. Solid, practical, and ready to weather the storms. But now, let's lift our gaze to the horizon. How do you make your wealth last? Not just for the next few years, but for decades. How do you build a future where you're sipping cocktails in Noosa at 65 or funding your grandkids' footy camp without a financial care in the world? That's what this section's about. Crafting a long-term wealth blueprint that's as enduring as the Great Barrier Reef. Let's dive in like we're chasing the perfect wave at Bell's Beach. The big picture. Why long-term matters, a rate cut. Like the one the RBA's hinting at for May 2025 is a spark. It can lower your mortgage payments, boost the ASX 200, and put more cash in your pocket. But sparks don't last unless you fan them into a flame. In Australia, the reality is stark. To retire comfortably, you'll need around $1.5 million in super and savings, according to the Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia. That's enough for a modest lifestyle. Think a unit in Adelaide, regular barbecues, and a yearly trip to Bali. For a cushier retirement, like a waterfront place on the Sunshine Coast, you're looking at closer to $2 million. Right now, the average 60-year-old has just $180,000 in super. That's a gap wider than the Sydney Harbour Bridge. But here's the good news. Wealth isn't about a single windfall. It's about habits, consistency, and playing the long game. Think of your financial journey like a boomerang. Throw it right, with focus and precision, and it'll come back to you tenfold. A rate cut can help by making borrowing cheaper and boosting investments, but the real power lies in how you sustain and grow that wealth over time. Let's meet someone who's done it, then break down the steps to make it your reality. Lisa's story. From nurse to millionaire, meet Lisa, a 55-year-old nurse from Melbourne. 10 years ago, she was working long shifts at the Royal Melbourne Hospital, raising 2 kids and staring at a super balance of $90,000. She wasn't rich. Her salary was $65,000 a year, and her husband, a teacher, brought in about the same. But Lisa had a vision: to retire at 55 with enough to travel Australia in a caravan and never worry about bills. Today, she's done it, with a net worth of $2 million. How? She built a long-term wealth blueprint, and it's a masterclass in what's possible for regular Aussies. Lisa started by maxing out her super contributions. She and her husband each added $200 a month pre-tax, which their employers matched. That alone grew her super to $500,000 by 55, thanks to the ASX's 7% average returns. But she didn't stop there. She used the equity in her modest Footscray home, bought for $300,000 in 2005, now worth $900,000, to invest in a rental property in Geelong. With a rate cut in 2015, she locked in a low 3% mortgage rate, and the rental income covered the loan while the property's value climbed to $600,000. Finally, she invested $500 a month in an ETF, the BetaShares Australia 200 or A200, which tracks the ASX and pays a 4% dividend. That grew to $200,000 over 10 years. Lisa's secret wasn't a fat salary or a lucky break. It was discipline, delayed gratification, and a diversified portfolio: super, property, and shares. She lived frugally, skipping flashy cars for a second-hand Corolla and cooking snags at home instead of dining out. When rates dropped, she pounced, using the savings to invest rather than splurge. Her story proves that wealth is like planting a coral reef. Start small, nurture it, and it'll grow into something spectacular. Step 1. Diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. The first pillar of long-term wealth is diversification. A rate cut can supercharge certain assets, like ASX shares or property. But betting everything on one is like backing only Collingwood in the AFL Grand Final. You need a mix to weather the ups and downs. Here's how to build a diversified portfolio, tailored to where you're at. Young adults, 2030. Focus on growth. Put 80% of your investments in shares or ETFs like VAS or A200, which track the ASX 200 and average 7% returns. Use apps like Rise to invest spare change. $10 a week grows to $5,000 in 10 years. Keep 20% in a high-interest savings account like ING's 4% for emergencies. Mid-career, 30-50. Balance growth and stability. Split your investments 50-50 between shares and property. Consider a rental property in affordable areas like Hobart, where medians are $800,000, and use a rate cut to lock in a low mortgage. Boost your super with $100 a month in voluntary contributions, tax deductible, and matched by employers. Pre-retirees, 50-70. Prioritize income and safety. Shift 60% to dividend-paying ASX stocks like Telstra or Woolworths, yielding 4%. Put 30% in bonds or fixed-income funds like Vanguard's, Australian Fixed Interest ETF for stability. Keep 10% in cash for flexibility. If you own property, consider downsizing to free up capital. Here's a quick example. Sarah, our Brisbane teacher from earlier, started with $200 a month. She put $100 into an ETF, $50 into super, and $50 into a savings account. In 10 years, that's $50,000, diversified across assets. A rate cut boosts her ETF returns and lowers her mortgage, amplifying the growth. Challenge. Pause and jot down your current investments. Got super, shares, property, cash? Comment below with one asset you could add to diversify, maybe an ETF or a savings account. Let's build your portfolio together. Step 2. Plan your retirement. No. Your number next, you need a retirement goal. The RBA rate cut can help by boosting your super and investments, but you've got to know what you're aiming for. The rule of thumb is $1.5 million for a comfortable retirement. Enough for a home, travel, and health care. Here's how to plan it. Calculate your needs. Use an online calculator like MoneySmart's Retirement Planner. A couple needs about $60,000 a year for a comfortable lifestyle or $40,000 for a modest one. Check your super. Log into your fund and see your projected balance at 65. If it's short, increase contributions. $50 a month adds $20,000 in 10 years. Factor in other income. Include rental properties, dividends, or the age pension, about $20,000 a year for couples. Lisa's rental property nets her $15,000 annually, topping up her super. Adjust for a rate cut. Lower rates mean cheaper loans for investment properties, but lower savings account returns. Shift some cash to ETFs or shares to keep growing. Patricia, our Adelaide nurse, did this. She calculated she'd need $60,000 a year, so she boosted her super and bought a dividend stock, CommBank, yielding 4%. Her plan's on track for $1.8 million by 65. Try this. Comment with your retirement dream. Caravan around Oz, a shack in Tassie, and let's figure out your number. Step 3. Adopt millionaire habits. Think like the wealthy. Finally, long-term wealth isn't just about money, it's about mindset. Millionaires like Lisa don't get there by accident. They share habits you can steal, no matter your income. Live below your means. Spend less than you earn, like Lisa skipping fancy cars. Cut one takeaway coffee a week. That's $100 a month for investments. Delay gratification. Skip impulse buys at Kmart and invest instead. $50 a month in an ETF grows to $12,000 in 10 years. Automate savings. Set up auto transfers to your super or investment account. It's like setting and forgetting a slow cooker. Effortless results. Learn continuously. Read one finance book a year like The Barefoot Investor, or follow ASX updates on CommSec. Knowledge compounds like interest. A rate cut helps by freeing up cash, but these habits turn that cash into wealth. Think of them like a cricket innings. Play defensively, build slowly, and you'll score big. Bringing it together. This long-term blueprint, diversification, retirement planning, and millionaire habits is your map to financial freedom. A rate. Cut is the wind in your sails, but you're the captain. Lisa's story shows it's possible, even on a nurse's salary. Your wealth is like a coral reef. Protect it, nurture it, and it'll thrive for generations. One last challenge. What's one millionaire habit you can start today? Maybe auto-saving $10 a week or reading a finance blog. Drop it in the comments, because small steps lead to big wins. Up next, we're wrapping up with a powerful call to action and a challenge to kickstart your journey. You won't want to miss the story of how one Aussie turned a rate cut into a life-changing moment. We've just taken a 60-minute journey through the wild, wonderful, and sometimes downright intimidating world of Australian finance. From the RBA's potential rate cut to the gritty realities of million-dollar mortgages and credit card debt, we've covered a lot of ground, more than a road trip from Sydney to Perth. But more than that, we've built a roadmap to turn a rate cut into a launchpad for your financial freedom. Whether you're a 20-something barista in Bondi, a 40-something tradie in Brisbane, or a retiree dreaming of a caravan adventure across the outback, this video wasn't just about money. It was about building a life where you call the shots. Let's recap, tie it all together with a bow as neat as a Vegemite sandwich, and get you moving with a challenge that'll spark your journey. Recapping the journey. We kicked off with a reality check. 65% of Aussies are stressed about money, and with good reason. The cost of living's climbing faster than a cockatoo up a gum tree, with Sydney house prices at $1.2 million and inflation nibbling at 3.5%. But the RBA's hinting at a rate cut, potentially dropping the cash rate to 3.85% by May 2025, and that's a wave we can ride. We met Sarah, the Brisbane teacher drowning in mortgage stress, and Tom, the Perth tradie buried in credit card debt, and saw how they turned things around with practical strategies. Then we dove into the toolbox, 4 game-changing strategies to make a rate cut work for you. First, refinance your mortgage and redirect the savings, like Liam in Melbourne, who shaved years off his loan and built a $15,000 ETF portfolio. Second, snowball your debt, like Aisha in Sydney, who wiped out $12,000 in 18 months and started investing. Third, supercharge your super, like Patricia in Adelaide, whose high-growth fund and extra contributions set her up for a comfy retirement. And fourth, start a side hustle, like Chloe in Hobart, whose latte art tutorials banked her $500 a month for a Raiz account. These aren't pie-in-the-sky ideas, they're as practical as a pair of Blundstones. Finally, we built a long-term wealth blueprint with Lisa, the Melbourne nurse who retired at 55 with $2 million. She diversified her portfolio across super, property, and shares, planned her retirement with precision, and lived like a millionaire by saving more than she spent. Her story showed us that wealth isn't about a big salary. It's about consistency, like tending a coral reef until it thrives. The emotional core. What's at stake? This isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about freedom. Freedom to quit a job you hate, to take your kids to the Great Barrier Reef, to retire on the Gold Coast with a cold one in hand, watching the sunset. Every step you take, whether it's refinancing, investing $50 in an ETF, or starting a side hustle, is a brick in the foundation of that freedom. The RBA rate cut is a tailwind, but you're the one steering the ship. And here's the truth. You don't need to be rich to start, you just need to start. Think of your financial journey like navigating the Great Barrier Reef. There are currents, rate cuts, inflation, market swings that can push you off course. There are hazards, like debt or lifestyle creep, that can sink you. But with the right map, the right tools, and a steady hand, you can sail through to waters so clear they sparkle. That's what we've built today. A map to guide you, tools to empower you, and a vision to keep you going. You're not just building wealth, you're building a legacy, a fair go for yourself and those you love. The 7-Day Freedom Challenge. So what's next? Action. Not next month, not next week. Today, I'm throwing down a challenge, a 7-day sprint to kickstart your financial freedom. It's simple, it's practical, and it's designed to get you moving faster than a roux on the run. Here's the deal. Day 1, know your numbers. Log into your bank and super accounts. Write down your mortgage rate, super balance, and total debt. Knowledge is power. Day 2. Cut one expense. Find one thing to trim. Maybe that extra flat white or a streaming sub you barely use. Save $10 this week. Day 3. Check your mortgage. Call your bank or a broker and ask for a better rate. Even a 0.25% drop saves thousands. Day 4. Start the snowball. List your debts, smallest to largest, and commit to paying an extra $10 this week on the smallest one. Day 5. Boost your super. Log into your super fund and switch to a high-growth option if you're under 50, or add a $10 monthly contribution. Day 6. Pitch a side hustle. Post one service on Airtasker or Gumtree. Dog walking, tutoring, anything. Aim for a $10 gig. Day 7. Invest a tenner. Open a RBA account or buy $10 of an ETF like A200. It's a seed for your future. This challenge isn't about overhauling your life. It's about small, deliberate steps, like tossing a boomerang and watching it soar. By day 7, you'll have saved money, cut debt, boosted your super, and planted an investment seed, all while riding the wave of a potential rate cut. Comment below with "I'm in" and let us know which day you're starting with. We're a community here, cheering each other on like it's the Ashes. One last story: the power of starting small. Before we wrap, let me share one final story. Meet Nguyen, a 42-year-old Uber driver from Sydney. 5 years ago, he was living paycheck to paycheck with a small mortgage and no savings. When the RBA cut rates in 2020, he saw a chance. He refinanced his mortgage, saving $100 a month, and put it into an ETF. He started a side hustle delivering food, banking $200 a month, which went to his super. He lived frugally, cooking po at home instead of eating out. Today, Nguyen's got $50,000 in investments, a super balance of $200,000, and a rental property in Bankstown netting him $500 a month. He's on track to retire at 60 with $1.8 million, all because he started small, with $100 and a dream. Nguyen's story is proof. You don't need to be a finance guru or a high flyer at Qantas. You just need to take the first step, then the next, and the next. A rate cut is your spark. Your actions are the flame. The call to action. Join the movement. So here's my ask. Don't let this video be just another tab you close. Make it the moment. You say, "Enough's enough. I'm taking control." Comment below with your first step for the 7-day challenge. Is it checking your mortgage? Starting a side hustle? Planting that $10 investment seed? Share it, because when you declare your goal, you're 10 times more likely to stick with it. And while you're there, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with more Aussies who need it. Subscribe and ring the bell for more videos to keep you on track. And if this inspired you, share it with a mate. Text it to your bestie, your brother, or your colleague who's always stressing about money. Let's start a movement, one fair go at a time. Your financial freedom is like the outback sky, vast, beautiful, and yours to claim. The RBA rate cut is a chance, but you're the one who makes it count. So go on, take that first step. The reef's waiting and the water's perfect. Comment, what's your first step to financial freedom? Let's do this, Australia.